So prior to my wife and I getting married, we knew that the Lord was calling us somewhere else. We believed that it was overseas. Those were our hopes and our dreams. And the Lord spoke to us both separately and said that we were supposed to go to Atlanta. And we prayed for it probably about a year because first we tried to convince God to let us go somewhere else. But then eventually we kind of had an obedient heart and was like, okay, God, if you want us there, then, make a way. And so in us obeying him, we came to Atlanta. On our first visit, when we came to Dream Center Church, we actually got here a little early. We were mixed up one time. And the very first person we met was Pastor Paul. Pastor Paul was engaging and loving, and he made us feel as though we were the most special people in the world. We didn't know that he was a pastor at the time because he does not introduce himself as Pastor Paul. And he bought us a coffee and got himself one. And it was then that I realized it was the pastor, because pastor was written on top of his cup. That was one of the very first things that were like this feels like home. I knew from a really early age that I wanted to work with kids. This was about when I was a junior in high school, and I had my first job as at a summer camp. And it was there that the Lord was really like, hey, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Actually, from a very young age, people were prophesying over me that I would be in ministry in some type of form or fashion. It wasn't until I was about 18 or 19 when we were still in North Carolina and the specific prophetic words began. And I got 3 specific ones that I remember vividly. And they were speaking and they said, like, no, you're going to be a pastor. You'll be a pastor of a church one day. You'll be a pastor of a church one day. And I did not want anything to do with being a pastor at the time. I had experienced some pastors who didn't do the role well or use their position for their own personal gain. And I never wanted to be in that position. I understood the weight of the role. After coming to the Dream Center in 2018, we started getting plugged in here and there, whether it be greeting or worship team or, however we kind of just fit in. And so the position finally opened up for youth pastoring, and Pastor Tom came to me, and at this time we had a great friendship, and he came to me and was like, hey man, I want you to apply for this job. It's not guaranteed, but I think that you would be a great candidate for it. At that time I was reluctant, but I was at a point where I was like, God, if this is what you want from me, then I want it from me. Regardless of how I feel in the moment, regardless of even my own insecurities or doubts or even fears. And funny story is that I didn't even get it the first time. I did not get the job the first time. And then the second round of interviews, I actually got the job. They hired me and my wife for the positions. Being able to do what I love without the restrictions that a school system puts on you when it comes to sharing the gospel and praying with these kids and walking them through some really challenging things. It's probably the most fulfilling thing I've ever done in my life. Every day I get to wake up and enjoy what I'm doing. I get to wake up and no longer regret having to go to work because it's so unfulfilling. I was lost. I didn't know, who I was or where I wanted to be or what I wanted to do. I tried filling those voids with, so many other things, drugs, alcohol, sex, pornography, whatever I could find. And it wasn't until I got in this position that I really felt whole and I felt complete. And it wasn't because of the position itself, but it was more so because of how God was in the position and what he was doing through, what I get to do now. For a kid like me who grew up feeling like I didn't have a purpose, I didn't, exist for any particular reason, I was just here, to find purpose in what you do, to find purpose in the opportunity to speak into these kids' life. My life is forever changed. My life is forever changed. I have found value in Christ, and because of that, I get to do what I do now, and hopefully, share that with these kids to remind them that they have value and that they have purpose and that, there is a reason for them being here, regardless of what the world tells them, regardless of what, they may encounter. They're created for a purpose. And so I get to walk out my purpose every day.